right. It's time for the NFL season. We're so excited to be back. It's our favorite time of the year. And the Prez podcast is back. It's been a couple months, had a hiatus, had to get some new equipment, new computer, and maybe even a new host. I have with me my son, Kian, and I'm so excited. He's going to dazzle you with his sports knowledge, especially in the NFL. We're going to give you our predictions, a little bit of a preview for what we think is going to happen this year in the NFL. We're going to go over how we think the playoff teams line up in the AFC and the NFC, and then we're going to do all the end of the season awards, all the way from Coach of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, all the way down to the MVP. We'll give you our Super Bowl matchup as well. We're going to do all of that. We're going to go over it. We're going to have a little debate, a little discussion. We're so glad you can join us. So please watch, hit the like button, subscribe. Also, stay with us for the whole video. Give us some comments, some feedback. Let us know what we could do better, we can improve on. Always wanted to hear that. And again, thank you for joining us. So let's get going. We're going to start right off with our AFC predictions. I'll go first, and then Kane, feel free to jump in, correct me where I'm wrong, and then give me your picks when I'm done. All right?
Okay.
So let's start with my AFC prediction. Now, usually, people have known me and stuff like that, doing my predictions for a long, long time. I've been kind of a chalk guy, meaning the favorites, the teams I think they're going to go do well, teams that have done well in the previous year. I'm not much of a risk taker in my picks. This year, kind of went a little bit of the opposite, a little bit risky, a little bit, anyway. So right off the bat, right off with number one on my AFC list, I have as a 1 seed in the AFC, the Miami Dolphins. Main reason for that: one, amazing offense last year. Mike McDaniels invigorated Tua. They got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. I think Terron Armstead will be okay with his injury. But the major difference is the hiring of Vic Fangio as a new defensive coordinator in a very, very tough division. I know. But I feel like if they can still score at the rate they were, added to a defense that probably could be close to top 15, better, maybe top 10. If they get to be a top 10 defense, I think they can be the 1 seed in the AFC. Bold prediction. They're my 1 seed. Number two, we'll get through my 7. I have Kansas City. Now, this isn't bold, this isn't crazy, but maybe Kansas City's not a 1 seed. Maybe they don't, they got to play an extra playoff game. Maybe we don't get to a Arrowhead Invitational in the AFC title game. I still think when you have Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, the best two at their positions respectively in the last 5 years, it's hard to discount them. So I have them at number 2. My second surprise, at this high, the 3 seed, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to win the AFC North. I think they had the best draft in the AFC. And I think Kenny Pickett is going to take a step forward. And I think people discount the coaching ability of Mike Tomlin. I think he's got these guys playing hard. I think they're going to surprise people in that division. I think there's teams in that division that are going to not be as good. I think a lot of people too high in Baltimore. I think their defense is going to struggle. I know Lamar's getting, his money now, and that offense is going to be better, but I think their defense is going to struggle. The Steelers get TJ Watt for a full season as he stays healthy. Their offensive line gets better. Their weapons have gotten better. I'm really all in on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 4. Everybody thinks that just because of how the division finished in the AFC South, that the Jaguars are a lock to win that division. Not so fast, my friend. Did people forget how great of a coach Mike Vrabel is? People forget how good that defense is? Did people forget that they started 7-3 before they fell off and had the most injured team in the NFL last year? I think they forgot about that. I'm going to take the better head coach right now. I know Doug Peterson has a Super Bowl win. But I'm not really sold on the Jags defense or their offensive line. I do think their offense will be explosive, and there's 2 horrible teams at the bottom of that division, which we won't even talk about, in Houston and Indianapolis. I think the Titans will do a lot with the run game. I think this is a team that's got a lot to prove, and I think they'll do enough to win the division. I have them number 4. I think they're going to get 10 wins to sneak in. Number 5, it's the Bengals. In Joe Burrow, I trust. Cincinnati will be back in the playoffs. Joe Burrow and that offense with Orlando Brown signing will do enough. Their defense lost a couple guys, but I think they're still going to do enough to be in the playoffs. And if Joe's got a shot at any kind of title, any type, to be in the dance, he will be, and he'll be effective. I think Cincinnati's still in it. At number 6, possibly the best defense in the NFL, with the addition of Aaron Rodgers. The New York Jets, back into the playoffs. I just don't think they beat Miami. That means some surprises for the number 7 pick here. We'll see in a second. I think they win 10 games. I think they get in the playoffs. I don't think they do enough. I'm still worried about that offensive line, but I think their defense is going to be lights out. I think they're going to win a lot of games where Rodgers has maybe 200 yards passing, enough of a run game, but their defense really carries a load for them this year. I think they just got such an upgrade at the position with Zach Wilson going to Rodgers. It's hard not to see them improving. Remember, they won 7 games last year. They're going to get up to 10 and make the playoffs. And last, I know I just talked badly about Jacksonville, but I think they get in. I think they're the 7th seed. I think these teams that we're worried about maybe making the playoffs, the Buffalo Bills aren't going to make it. I don't think they did enough to be competitive. I feel like the loss of Leslie Frazier as a defensive coordinator is going to be noticed. I don't think Doug McDermott can handle both head coaching duties and defensive coordinator calling plays. I think there's going to be a little bit of fall off there. Von Miller, we don't know when he's coming back. I don't think the Chargers are going to make it. Until I actually see them do it consistently, I think maybe, Staley, their head coach is going to be one of the coaches that could get fired, and Kellen Moore may take that job eventually. I don't think they're going to make it. I don't think the Browns are going to make it. So I think Jaguars will do enough, partly because they're going to get 4 easy wins over Houston and Indianapolis. They have an easier schedule. So I think Jacksonville will win by their offense, get in, sneak into the 7th seed. Won't make a lot of noise, but they're continually improving. That's my AFC. A few crazy picks of going against the trends there. Yeah, a few. So that's my AFC picks. Let's hear yours, and then we'll discuss. Discuss. So let me hear your top number 1 seed.
So I feel like going into this, I thought we would have stuff more similar, but I mean, I just did the exact opposite of you, really. I have the Chiefs at number 1. I don't think you can stop that offense. Just last season, I don't think there's,
No one's gonna argue with that. What's number 2?
At number 2, I have the Cincinnati Bengals. Their offense, I think, their passing game is good. Their defense, they have a really good pass rush.
People discount their defense. Trey Henderson, I agree with that part. Keep going.
So again, I feel like with all of the receivers that they have and Joe Burrow, Orlando Brown signing, like you said, Joe Mixon, there's a bit of doubt in him, but I still feel like they'll be able to win the AFC North. And at 3, I have the Buffalo Bills. The AFC East, I think it's like probably the best division in football with like the Bills, the Dolphins, I think are great. The Jets have a lot of hype, and the Patriots have a good defense. But the Bills, again, like Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. They have Dalton Kincaid added into the mix, another great pass catcher. Defense, if Von Miller can stay healthy for the year and plays well, I think that still they will be the best in the AFC East.
Okay. It's
going to be close with some of these teams in the AFC East and AFC North, but I feel like the Bengals and Bills are just reliable with that. And in 4, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. They surprised people by winning the AFC South, and they had some great wins, beating the Ravens, for example.
Yes, good recall.
Beating the Chargers in the wild card, although they did have that horrible,
Yes, first half. Four picks for Lawrence in the first half, yeah. But they came back.
but they were able to win, and I just feel like Doug Peterson as the coach, the offense looking good. They have Anton Harrison is the rookie, gonna boost up their O line. Josh Allen on the defense. The AFC South isn't looking so great. I just don't think I can trust the Titans offense. Like DeAndre Hopkins, I don't know how much of a difference he's going to make, and I don't think that their offense is going to do enough for them to win the division. So then I have the Dolphins at number 5 because.
Okay, good. At least we're not too crazy on the Dolphins. I'm not too far off. You have them at number 5 at least. Makes me feel better.
Their offense is just so great, so much speed. If Tua stays healthy, I think that they can just be so good with the defense. Like the addition of the trade for Jalen Ramsey. Their defense is going to be good, as you have mentioned. I don't know if I can have them being the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I don't know if I have enough trust in them, and Tua might get hurt again.
All good points.
So at 6, I have the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay.
If Lamar Jackson, he stays healthy the whole year, like Tua, that'll be great. They have OBJ and Zay Flowers now, some good receivers. Their defense is okay. It's pretty good. So I have them in the 6th seed.
Okay.
And in 7th seed, I have the New York Jets.
Okay.
Because of I feel like the only thing, like, their offensive line, and they don't have, the receiver room is deep, but they don't have a great wide receiver too. So I have them at 7, but Aaron Rodgers, if he's good with them, if he's quite good, then I think that will help them. And defense just looks so great with like Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed and like CJ Mosley, Quinn Williams, rookie Will McDonald could be very good for them. But I have them as 7.
It's hard to argue with your top 3 when they have been the best 3 teams the last 5 years.
Yes.
So it's hard to argue with that. They've been perennial playoff teams.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that my issue with Kansas City, without the news today, Kelsey being hurt, Chris Jones not coming back, their schedule's going to be tough, right? My concern is no one's talking about the loss of McCole Harmon. They don't have proven receivers. They lost McCole Harmon and Juju. Big parts of their offense last year.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, MVS was there, but Tony was only there for part of it. Sky Moore's out. They don't really have a really consistent outside threat. And I know Mahomes makes everybody look better. He does. And I still have him a 2 seed. My concern is for the offense and the defense without Chris Jones. I do think their secondary gets better. That's my concern from them. I already discussed my issues with Buffalo. The AFC East is flip a coin, right? Those top 3 teams, we're not even going to bring the Patriots into it, who I think have a good defense. The issue is they have the fourth worst quarterback. They have just the worst quarterback in that division.
Oh, yes. I don't think there's a chance of getting into the playoffs.
Not at all. And there's 10 teams. There's 10, 11 teams in the AFC that could plausibly be 10-win teams pretty easily. The disparity between the conferences is it's really great. It's a big divide.
It was tough not having the Chargers or like the Steelers not make it. But I think these are the teams that will make the playoffs. And also with the Chiefs, I think they have a good defense. Their secondary is pretty good. Their defensive line, if Chris Jones, if they can keep him, then he'll be great. And they have Felix Uzama, the rookie edge rusher who could make a difference. Nick Bolton's good. So I think their defense is pretty good and still with that offense.
All right. I mean, I don't have anything to give you too much pause about. Obviously, I was more of a risk taker, and I saw your reactions to some of my teams. I get it. Like I said, went out on a limb. We'll see what happens. See what happens. A long season, a lot can happen. That's all right. Let's go to the NFC. And again, not too much. The NFC is obviously the weaker conference. I mean, if you look at the NFC South, garbage division they were last year. I mean, Tampa Bay won it with a losing record. So it's just, I don't think much has changed. I think the AFC is still stronger. The NFC will be weaker, but I did change it a little bit at the top. I did get a little crazy. Not as much as with the AFC, but we'll start with my 1 seed, the Dallas Cowboys. Now, here's my reasoning for Dallas Cowboys. If they get Dak healthy for all 17 games, right? Remember, he was out for 5 games. They went 4-1 without him still. I think their defense is going to be amazing. People are forgetting about Stephon Gilmore. You have Diggs and Gilmore at the corners, which means you get to unleash Micah Parsons whenever you want on defense from any position. I think their defense is going to be good. I think they're going to be able to run the ball. Pollard doesn't have to sit behind Zeke anymore. People are undervaluing that. I know the loss of Kellen Moore is a little bit upsetting. Mike McCarthy as a play caller, maybe this will help him with game management since he's so focused on making sure the play calling is correct. I know that's a worry, but I just feel like their roster is as good as anybody in the NFC right now. I know they've had 2 heartbreaking losses the last 2 years, but they've won double-digit games. And I like them to have the best record, and I'll tell you why, because of what I think is going to happen to everybody else's NFC favorites. My number 2 team is San Francisco. The worry with San Francisco is, I know we have Brock Purdy coming back. I think it's unrealistic to think that he will play all 17 games and play them well. I also think that they have a Nick Bosa issue. They got to sign him. He still hasn't shown up to training camp. They play this Sunday, and it starts off with a tough game in Pittsburgh. I think they're going to lose a few games. Maybe they shouldn't. I think Brock Purdy still needs to be developed. I know Shanahan calls plays and make decisions pretty easy for quarterbacks. That's why he was able to play well last year. But I feel like there's going to be still some tumultuous time. I still think they win the division. I still think that they obviously are a 2 seed. They're high enough. I just don't think they're going to win enough games to be. I don't think they're going to get to 13 or 14 wins. I think they fall in that 12, 11 win range. They still have an amazing defense even if Bosa's not playing. So I still think they're good enough to be the 2 seed. Here's another surprise though. My 3 seed, the Green Bay Packers. I think they win the NFC North. I think they win the North. I think they have the best offensive line. They have the youngest roster in the NFL. I think that division, people are all in Detroit. And why I think Detroit Lions offense is great, big fan of Dan Campbell, but they got a lot of young pieces on defense. They don't really have the corner set. I know they got Jack Campbell, Aiden Hutchinson, and Houston pass rush, but they don't have a lot of depth on the defensive line. I'm worried about their ability to stop the run and stop the pass. I still think they're a bottom 3rd defense. So they're going to be a lot of shootouts. I think their offense will be great. Best top 5 offensive line, no problem, but I think Detroit is a little bit too much on the hype train. I think Minnesota is also going to fall off. And I'm not even going to talk to you about Justin Fields and Chicago Bears. They need a lot of work on their roster. So I think Green Bay, with arguably top 5 offensive line, really good young weapons, a good pass rush with Preston Smith and Rashad Gary. They still have Jai Alexander and good corners. I think that they're going to win 10 games and win that division. And then for my 4th seed, another maybe surprise, because I think a lot of people are on another team, is the Atlanta Falcons. I'll tell you why. They were in a lot of games last year. They didn't make the playoffs. They were in a lot of 1-score games. They played well. They added a really, really important piece in Bijan Robinson. And now they also have Tyson Algier in the back end, Cordero Patterson in that running. Tyler Algier, thank you. In that running back room, he knows how to how to draw run plays. They're going to run the ball down your throat. The key for me is that they added some really good veterans on that defense. Calais Campbell, Justin Simmons. they added some people. Or is it Jesse Bates? Jesse Bates. Jesse Bates. My fault. Justin Simmons still in Denver. Jesse Bates. Yeah, in that secondary, I think they added some veteran leadership on the defense. I think the defense takes a step forward. In a really bad division, I think Tampa Bay and Carolina are going to be garbage. Tampa Bay on offense, Carolina completely. We don't have to talk about Brian Burns not being in the building for the Carolina Panthers. So I feel like they're going to take advantage of that in a weak schedule, and I think they're going to win 9, maybe 10 games and win the South. At number 5, I have the Eagles. They're going to be the first wildcard team. They're barely going to lose out to Dallas. They're still going to be in the playoffs. They have arguably the best roster, but my problem for them is that defense. They've lost some starters on defense, and they've got some issues there. Jalen Carter is going to be phenomenal, but they got to figure it out. I also think their schedule got way more difficult. They had a really easy schedule last year, and they also lost their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. That's hard to do. Now, they're replacing the same head coach. Sometimes you don't see any issues, but early in the season, it can take a little while to get that going. And I feel like they're going to struggle a little bit, but do enough to get in the playoffs and be the second team in the AFC East. My second wildcard team is the Seattle Seahawks. Now, this is tough for me being a Seahawks fan. I don't like predicting what my team's going to do, where it's hard for me to be exact on them, and I think they've had a second great draft in a row. My major concern is the same concern I had last year, and that's that defensive line, especially in the middle. I know they brought back Jaron Reed. They drafted Mike Morris. They really don't have a true defensive tackle that stop the run, but I know bringing back Bobby Wagner is really going to help the run defense. If their defense, which was finished in the bottom third, can just get in the 10 to 20 range with the way that offense is going to move the ball, I think they're going to win 9 or 10 games to make the playoffs. Number 7, 2 teams in the AFC South. The New Orleans Saints. Ridiculously easy schedule. Really good defense. Derek Carr is going to be back. They get Kamara back after week 3 suspension. Michael Thomas hopefully back and healthy. Remember last year they had too many quarterback carousel things going on. They had some injuries, but Cameron Jordan, Demario Davis, Tyrann Mathieu, 3 solid veterans on defense, and that defense is going to play better. Their defense was great down the stretch. And their offense just improves by 5 points per game, they're going to win double-digit games. So I have them as the 7th seed. And that's my NFC predictions. Your turn.
Okay, so, again, I feel like I've done some similar stuff with how last year went, but I think NFC will change up a bit. At 1, I have the Eagles again. I again think that they are the most complete team, and I feel like they just had like a great draft. They were able to keep Darius Slay and James Bradbury. They lost some people like Miles Sanders, for example, or C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Right.
So like their running backs aren't that great. They did sign DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny, but there's still not that great running backs. DeAndre Swift hasn't proven that much, and Rashad Penny isn't. He could get injured. He's injury prone, and I just don't think the running backs are going to do that great. They don't have much safeties, but still, with all of that, their defensive line is great. Their offense, I mean, like with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, like top 2 O-line.
For sure.
I feel like their offense is going to be great again. Their defense is going to be great, or at least good. And I just think that they're just going to. I don't think that there's that they've downgraded enough to drop them from number 1.
Okay. Number 2?
Number 2, I have the 49ers. Again, they have a very complete team. Brock Purdy, we don't know how he's going to do again. But, I mean, they signed people like Javon Hargrave. Their offense is is good, is quite good with the run game. Christian McCaffrey. They have George Kittle, Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. And defense is, again, great. The linebackers, the defensive line. Nick Bosa is questioned, but I feel like, again, they haven't changed enough to drop. So,
Okay.
I feel like the top two are just going to remain the same. And at number 3, I have the winner of the NFC South, which I have as the New Orleans Saints.
Okay.
I feel like it's going to be close between them and the Falcons. The Panthers, they were close last year.
They were.
There was that one game between them and the Bucks. But both of those teams, I don't think are going to be good enough with their offense. And although the Bucks have a decent defense, So the Saints I have because I think I can trust Derek Carr more than Desmond Ridder. So.
Good logic.
Yeah, Derek Carr, he didn't have a great season, but I think he's going to be good enough. And with their good defense, like Alvin Kamara and Jamal Williams are good running back room, and the receivers with Michael Thomas and Chris Olave. If Michael Thomas is healthy, I think he'll be great. Chris Olave looked great last year. The good defense with like Demario Davis, Cam Jordan, and like Tyrann Mathieu.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that they will do better than the Falcons. And at 4, I have the winner of the NFC North, which I put as the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, really?
I agree with you that the Lions, I don't think they're going to be as good as people think.
Okay.
I think that they're pretty good, but I still think that they need more.
Okay.
So, the Packers could be good. I don't know how good Jordan Love is going to be.
Question mark?
The receiver room isn't amazing. Christian Watson, he's okay. He's good, but we don't really know how he's gonna do. Aaron Jones is great. Defense is pretty good, but I think the Vikings, they had a good season last season, great, but a lot of people are down them because, they had a negative point differential, and like all the one-score games, they got lucky and stuff.
Right.
I still think their offense is going to be great with Justin Jefferson, of course, top 2 receiver, and they added Jordan Hudson to have him with KJ Osborne. They lost Adam Thielen, but I think replacing him with Jordan Hudson is better. Their O-line is pretty good. They don't have Dalvin Cook anymore, which I think is a big loss. Alexander Madison, he could be good, but I'm not sure about that. The defense is where most people think that that's their biggest weakness. They lost Eric Kendricks. Patrick Peterson had a good season last season.
Mm-hmm.
But I still, with the pass rush of Danielle Hunter, they don't have Darius Smith anymore. Forgot to mention that.
Right.
Which is not great. But I feel like they signed Byron Murphy, is his name?
Mm-hmm. Yes, corner from Arizona.
Yes, and I think their offense is still going to be good. They have the NFC North is. I don't think it's a good division at all. So I think that they will be able to beat the Packers. I think that it is going to be an upset, but I just don't think. I think their offense is still just very good.
Gotcha. Who you got number 5? Who's your first wild card?
Number 5, I have the Cowboys.
Okay.
I agree that they could, they could potentially beat the Eagles, but I don't know how it's gonna go. I mean, Dak Prescott is pretty good. He's good. Of course, like he needs to turn down the interception. This got injured last year, um, and so I don't. So and the offense, C.D. Lamb. They signed Brandon Cooks. He's gonna as a veteran. So I think with the other wildcard teams in the NFC, I just don't, and with their amazing defense, I just don't think that any of the other potential wild cards could beat them because of like how good like their defense is and their offense, and with Tony Pollard too, great run game,
right.
like good offensive, like pretty good offensive line with like Zach Martin. I have the Eagles beating them because I feel their roster is more complete. There's more like reliability I feel with them, as of how good they did last year.
Okay.
So at 6 I have the Detroit Lions.
Okay. So you think the Vikings will beat them out, but Lions will get maybe like 9 or 10 wins? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. I still think that they have some pieces. They did good last season. They have an easy schedule, I think. So, again, I think Jared Goff, if he plays well, their O-line is good. Dave Montgomery is good. And Jahmyr Gibbs is great rookie. A lot of questions about like why they picked him. Jack Campbell, good. Their cornerbacks, their secondary, their defense isn't that great.
Right. My concern as well.
But like Amon-Ra St. Brown is great. I feel like they are just good enough to make the playoffs. And at 7, I have the Seahawks.
Okay, keep going.
Because their roster, I mean, I know more about them too.
Because we talk about them. It's okay, keep going.
Yeah, but the Seahawks, their offense is good. Their O-line is developing and getting better. The running backs, Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, Young. Defense is getting better. Cameron Young as the rookie nose tackle, the run defense is going to be the thing that needs to get better. And if Cameron Young is good, then that could be good. But
right.
if he isn't, then I mean, Brian Monet isn't that great. We made a lot of changes on the D-line, but and the secondary is decent, but I still feel like with the way it went last season, they don't have like any like outstanding like great players.
Right.
And they still have holes, so I put them at 7.
Gotcha. Hard to argue with a lot of that stuff. I don't. You had, see, we have similar teams. I think we're just different order. I mean, I'm not as high on the Vikings as you are. I do think they'll fall off, but we'll see. I'm kind of with the general public. I am quoted as saying last year maybe possibly the worst 13-win team ever. May have said that last year, but we'll see if they come back. It'd be interesting if they showed everybody. I think it's Kirk Cousins possibly last year in Minnesota. So that's my only thing with you on that one. But anyways, we got to get the ball going. Let's go. My AFC Championship pick. Surprise here. It's not going to be the Chiefs back in the Super Bowl. For the first time back in the Super Bowl, I have the Miami Dolphins over the Cincinnati Bengals. I think the Bengals, find a way to go on a run with Joe Burrow in the playoffs like it did. They just don't quite make it. I feel like Miami, with that defense and that exciting offense, Tua stays healthy all year. Obviously, this is not Skylar Thompson leading them to the playoffs. So I think Tua and that offense and that defense do enough, and they get back to the Super Bowl. Exciting. What about your AFC pick?
My AFC, I feel like, so I have the Bengals against the Ravens.
Bengals against the Ravens. And all... Hey, no Chiefs as well. Okay, we agree on something.
I think the Ravens could make a run. I think that their offense is going to be good.
Okay.
The Bengals, they've been in the AFC Championship a few times. I feel like, their offense is good. I think they could beat like the Bills again, or
right.
Whoever they face.
Who do you have winning?
I have the Bengals winning.
Bengals back to the Super Bowl. All right.
I think it's time for them to be back in the Super Bowl. I feel. Last year I also thought that they should have been in the Super Bowl, so
close.
But
Three-point loss.
At that time I underestimated the Chiefs' defense, and I just think the Bengals have improved. So I think that they could both make runs in the playoffs.
Okay. NFC. I have Dallas getting revenge on 49ers. Dallas over San Francisco. Remember the last 2 years, Dallas has had close games with San Francisco that ended in horrible fashion. Of course, not in getting up to spiking the ball. And then last year was Zeke hiking it and getting run over. That's sadly Zeke's last play as a Dallas Cowboy. I think they get revenge. I think it'll be in Jerry's Palace in Dallas. And I think they get back to the Super Bowl for the first time in almost 30 years.
So in the championship, I have the 49ers beating the Eagles.
Okay, so you have them getting revenge from last year.
Yeah, I don't. Yes, I do. I don't think the Cowboys will make it. I feel like the Niners and the Eagles just have playing better teams.
Gotcha.
The defense is pretty close with the Niners and the Cowboys and the Eagles, but I think that they're just better teams. So I feel like the 49ers and the Eagles are just the two best teams in the NFC, and they will make it.
Okay. All right, my Super Bowl. So we know it's Miami. We know it's Dallas. I got Miami over Dallas, which is crazy. I know it's crazy. Miami didn't even win a playoff game last year. I'm just a believer. I have them going all the way. I have them beating the Dallas Cowboys. I know we didn't say we're going to do scores, but I'll say in a barn burner, 38-34. Miami over Dallas. Your Super Bowl winner is?
I have the Bengals winning the Super Bowl.
Bengals win their first Super Bowl over a team they've lost twice to. Remember they lost to Joe Montana twice in the 80s. Tell us why.
So I have them beating the 49ers because I don't think Brock Purdy will be able to win in that game. I think he's gonna.
Right. Taking the better quarterback in the Super Bowl? Bold. I think that's the smart play.
I think the offense is better. I don't think the 49ers. I feel like the offense is just gonna make enough. I mean, the last Super Bowl, it was a very offensive game. It was a ton of scoring, and I feel like the Bengals are just gonna outscore the Niners.
Yep. Awesome. All right. Now let's get to our end of season awards. We're gonna start with Coach of the Year. This is pretty easy for me because I'm all in on the Dolphins, which means I'm going Mike McDaniels. If the Dolphins win 13 or 14 games, get that 1 seed, it's hard to see him not being Coach of the Year. I think it was kind of crazy that Brian Daboll won Coach of the Year with a 9-win team, which is kind of crazy. But my Coach of the Year is Mike McDaniels. I think he leads them to the top of the AFC into a Super Bowl win. So, pretty easy. If they win, if Miami does as well as I think they're going to do, then how can I not go with Mike McDaniels? Your pick for Coach of the Year.
So, at first, my first idea was Mike McDaniels or Mike McDaniel.
Maybe McDaniel. I may be adding an S. That's my fault. Keep going.
But I feel like Coach of the Year is going to be like someone who like comes in and elevates a team. I mean, like last season that was Brian Daboll with the Giants, who were not expected to do that great.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't that great of a team, and Brian Daboll, he was a new coach, and I feel like that is going to weigh in a lot.
Okay.
So I looked at the new. So I also thought of it potentially being Mike Vrabel, but I didn't think the Titans would be good enough.
Okay.
So I have. So I looked at the new coaches and I put in D'Amico Ryans.
D'Amico. Okay. D'Amico. It means you think Houston's going to be better than expected?
Yes. So I feel like he's the best out of them. I feel like
Best of the rookie head coaches?
best of the new head coaches on the new teams. I think that he will elevate the Texans. I think that he will bring them to develop in the next few years. I think that the Texans are going to be pretty good, and I think that they will at least beat the Colts and in the AFC South.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're going to be decent. Their rookies could be good. Then I think D'Amico Ryans has a decent chance of winning.
Okay. All right. This one, comeback player of the year. It's pretty easy. Just pencil it in. If he plays all season, gets tackles, and is healthy, it's DeMar Hamlin. It's DeMar Hamlin. You know, the story of DeMar Hamlin with what happened on the field in the Cincinnati-Buffalo game, you know, him being at the SP Awards and all that stuff, you know, the NFL Awards and that beautiful moment we had. He's made the 53-man roster. He's really going to inspire the team. If he gets on the field, makes some tackles, makes some plays, makes it through the season healthy, and we all hope he does. We don't want to see that ever happen again. I just don't know how you don't vote for DeMar Hamlin. It's a wonderful story, and it's got to be him.
So, I want DeMar Hamlin to win this.
Okay. Is that your pick as well?
But I don't know how much he's going to play. I don't know.
That's my word caveat. Are they going to put him on the field a lot?
I don't know if he's just I don't think that's how it's. I think it's got to be someone who I think it's going to be someone who comes back and has a good season.
Okay.
And so for me, it was between Lamar Jackson and Tua Tagovailoa.
Okay.
And I put Lamar Jackson.
Okay, that's a good pick as well. He was injured last year.
Well, with all my previous statements, I do think the Ravens are going to be good, and I think that Lamar Jackson will have a great year. I think he's going to be comeback player of the year.
Okay, very good choice. All right. Again, not overthinking these end-of-year awards. Next, offensive rookie. The rookie that was drafted into the best situation for a rookie running back. It's Bijan Robinson. Arthur Smith loves to run the football. He's the best at drawing up run schemes. Maybe you could say Kyle Shanahan is really good at run schemes, better than Arthur Smith. But as far as situations go, I don't think you could have a guy drafted in a better situation as far as a running team. Really good at running the football. Loves to run the football. I think Bijan is going to do great. He's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's going to carry them to the playoffs. Pretty no-brainer for me.
I also have Bijan.
All right, we agree. I was wondering if we were going to agree on any of these.
I feel like this is the easiest pick. Of course, I mean the quarterbacks. I agree with you completely on Bijan Robinson. The quarterbacks I don't think are in good enough situations. I don't think their teams are going to be good enough. So I think that he'll be the quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, all linemen aren't going to win. The receivers, I don't think. I mean, Zay Flowers he's like wide receiver 2, basically.
Right.
So I think he would have the best chance out of the wide receivers. Jason being a wide receiver 3. Like Quinn Johnson being a wide receiver 3. Jordan Addison being a wide receiver 3 or 2.
Right, depending what to do with KJ, yeah.
But Bijan Robinson, I just think he's going to get the most play time. He was an 8th overall pick. I mean, he's the best running back in the class. I think I agree. I think he's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Okay. Next up, This one I struggled with, and defensive rookie of the year. Sometimes you get some wild cards. Some guys are in good positions, good stuff. Maybe they just get on a really good defense and they plug in and help. That's probably the case for Jalen Carter, right? He's going to a good defense, and he's got these great mentors and Fletcher Cox and stuff like that. I'm leaning towards that. I lean towards maybe someone I know is going to get a lot of playing time. But I just kind of went with the guy I think that matches up with his head coach and what they want to do. And I went with Will Anderson. I think D'Amico Ryans being a defensive head coach, also playing linebacker. He was more of a off-ball linebacker with Anderson being an on-ball. But I think they're going to line him up all over the field. They're going to put him in awesome situations. They're going to be in a lot of games where he's going to have to pin his hair back and go rush the passer. I think he's going to get a lot of sacks. He's going to make some crazy defensive plays. And I just think, on that team, he's just going to do enough. And he's going to draw some attention and get some eyes on him. And he's going to be on the field a lot. So my pick is Will Anderson.
Okay. So, for Defensive Rookie of the Year, I thought of Will Anderson. And I think he's definitely a front runner. I don't know if he's going to be good enough out of the gate in the Texans defense. So I did not pick Will Anderson.
Okay. I didn't think you were. I think this was going to be a hard one for us to match up on. What do you think? What do you have?
I thought of Tyree Wilson. I don't, since he's with other good edge rusher Max Crosby, but I don't think he's going to be good enough. I think he's going to need to develop more. I thought of the cornerbacks that are coming. I don't think any of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. It could be one of them, Devin Witherspoon, of course, was the highest taken. He could win, but I put Brian Branch.
That's so funny. Brian Branch, the Detroit Lions safety, and Alabama. I had him written in. I had him. He was my first pick. It's very interesting. Okay.
Of course, he was expected to go in the first round. He's, with how good of a player he is, he's very versatile. Kind of like what you're saying with Will Anderson, he's going to be lined up all over the field, whether that's in safety or a nickel or a slot corner or whatever he's doing. I think that he's going to make a difference on the Lions' defense. I think that he is going to be the Defensive Rookie of the Year. Okay,
good pick. Good pick. All right. Offensive Player of the Year. Again, this is a real pro-Dolphins. My Dolphin fan buddy is going to be freaking out when he watches this. Offensive Player of the Year. Non-quarterback, right? It's not to me, it's a non-quarterback, so it's got to be Tyreek Hill. I think he's going to have 1,800 yards. I think he's just going to have an amazing season. When Tua was healthy and playing, Tyreek was phenomenal. Couldn't be stopped. So I think if Tua stays healthy all year, he's going to have 1,800 yards, 10 plus touchdowns, and he's going to be Offensive Player of the Year. Who do you got?
Okay, so my first thought was Tyreek Hill.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think that he could be amazing. I think the Dolphins are going to be very good. So for me, it's a bit of a toss-up for me. I put down Jamar Chase.
Okay.
Because I think the Bengals are going to be really good.
It matches up with your Super Bowl pick. Yeah, obviously.
I think that I just he had a great rookie season. He fell off a little bit, so I think if he bounces back, he has a great season on a great offense. I think that he could win. I think Tyreek Hill is also. It's very close between them for me.
Okay.
I don't. It could be running back, but I think that with the pass-heavy offenses of the current NFL, I think it will be a receiver again.
Okay. Defensive Player of the Year. Struggled with this one a little bit. And I struggled with it because I was like, for sure, leaning towards edge rusher. It seems to be, Aaron Donald withstanding. Obviously, Stephen Gilmore won it 1 year, but there has been a D-line heavy and now more pass rush heavy, with TJ Watt maybe coming back. Myles Garrett kind of came in my mind, but I'm going with Micah Parsons.
Okay.
Micah Parsons, closest thing we've had to LT in a long time. I don't know if there ever will be another Lawrence Taylor, but again, he's undersized, but he can bull rush, he can speed rush, he can play, he can cover. He can do everything. He's going to be phenomenal this year. He's going to lead that Dallas defense. I think he's going to have a phenomenal year. He's my pick for Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay. Okay. So I agree that I think it's going to be an edge rusher. With TJ Watt and Nick Bosa winning it.
Last 2 years, yeah.
Their amazing seasons. I think it's going to be an edge rusher again. However, I don't think it's going to be Nick Bosa again. I don't think they're going to do a repeat Defensive Player of the Year. So I put in Myles Garrett.
He's the name I wrote first down. I wrote Myles Garrett. I think Jim Schwartz is going to do some great things with that defense, and they're going to put him in positions to win one-on-one battles. So
I think with how good he is, them adding another pass rusher with Za'Darius Smith, I think he's only gonna get better. I think Micah Parsons he's definitely up there. I think he could definitely win it. But I just think Myles Garrett is he's just like top two, like top three, like pure just pass rushers. I think he's gonna win.
Okay. Again, I can't argue with that. That was my first pick before I changed to Micah Parsons. All right. And one I struggled with the most, MVP. It's just a quarterback award. I know Adrian Peterson won in 2012, but that was a decade ago, literally. It's an MVP award for quarterbacks. My logic was until someone usurps him, until someone takes over, he's head and shoulders the best quarterback in the league. How can I not give it to Patrick Mahomes? It's Patrick Mahomes. It's his award. He's going to win his third MVP. I know I don't have them being 1 seed, but I think he's got these weapons. I think this year he proves it because even more so than he already has, and that he doesn't really have a true one receiver. Kelsey's now hurt. He's going to elevate his receiving core. He's just going to make unbelievable plays. We're just going to be like, unbelievable. And I think with Chris Jones maybe sitting out a few games, he's really going to have to score a lot of points. He's going to do some phenomenal things. I know he's going to get some stiff competition, but it's Patrick Mahomes. Until someone beats him, takes him down.
Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, he's the best quarterback in the league. So I put Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow. Well, I mean, in matches, you got the Bengals in the Super Bowl winning the whole thing.
The Bengals, and they're going to have an amazing season. Joe Burrow is going to lead the team. And I think that the Chiefs, with them losing the divisional, they're going to be a bit worse. But, I mean, they're still going to have the 1 seed. Mahomes is very hard to argue, but I don't want to have someone winning the MVP twice in a row. Aaron Rodgers did it, but I think it's going to be someone different. I think it's going to be Joe Burrow.
Okay, that's it. That's all of our picks, all of our predictions. Super excited. We got football coming up on Thursday. Can't wait. So excited to have you do this with me. For everybody watching, not sure what we're going to do on a weekly basis. If Kian's going to be here every week doing analysis, if I'm just going to be doing it by myself, we'll figure that out. So a lot to come. We will be doing one a week for sure. We'll have a Prez podcast on the NFL once a week, maybe going over picks, maybe doing review. We'll figure that out. Please comment, like I said, like and subscribe to the video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, take care of yourself.